This is one of Samsung's cheapest phones, and this is the S24 Ultra, the best performance Galaxy phone at the moment. I'm going to be spending a day using both and letting you know in which ways the Galaxy A05s is not enough, good enough, or more than enough compared to my experience daily driving the S24 Ultra. I'm going to be comparing the cameras, the video quality, the gaming performance, basically answer the question, can I do everything that I do on a performance device like the S24 Ultra on my Galaxy A05s? And to my surprise, there are some things that the A05s that does better than the S24 Ultra. For those of you who don't know, Samsung's Galaxy phones work like this. A series are Samsung's entry-level devices, S series are Samsung's top-tier slab phones, and Z series are the foldable phones, that division that they use. Although most people and creators talk about the S series, including myself, around 58% of all Samsung sales are A series. My daily driver is the S24 Ultra, and it's easy to get used to something like this, which is essentially the sports car in Samsung's smartphone stable. But let's be realistic, according to the data, most people, probably including a lot of people watching this video, are using the A series devices. The Galaxy A05s is pretty much bottom of the pile, and depending on what deals you get and what time of the year it is and everything, it can be equal in price to the Galaxy A04e. But because the pricing is so similar, most people with a brain on their shoulders are probably getting the A05s or the A05. So I'm going to be doing the A05s over the A04 because that's what I did when I was at the shop buying these. These are the comparative specs. I'm going to throw them in your face so that you just have a good idea of how they compete with each other and in which areas. Take note of the battery size. That's really impressive. You can pause it here and use the screen whenever you need to. The camera is definitely a mixed bag. Actually, taking a video or photo is so long. It takes so long and can be so laggy that it makes taking photos extremely unpleasant. I really dislike it. Also, settings are relatively limited, but there are a few standout photos and videos here and there. Firstly, the macro lens is amazing and gets some incredible shots. Check out this fly. It's also nice and moody with the right lighting, so you can get really cool moody shots if you're artistic. I even got this banger pic of a bee without getting stung. Portrait mode on the rear lenses looks absolutely stunning in these lighting conditions that I shot them in, but in really good lighting conditions, and I recommend that's kind of the rule here. In fact, when I dumped the photos, I had to double check which phone the photos were coming from, because some of these are really, really good. The front-facing camera, however, is pretty washed out, and straight out of the camera, it's pretty crap in my opinion. You could jazz them up if you want to though, in Snapseed afterwards. The dynamic range isn't great, but they're still usable for social media. Under the right lighting, you can get great videos though, but here's an example of that performance that I was telling you about. The start of the video is so jumpy and stuttery, but it does smooth out later, but it's just so annoying that it's there, and that means that you could really lose the shot if you record at the wrong time. And depending on what you're using that footage for, that could be unusable. The rear cameras, however, slap. Noted, I shot a lot during great sunny daylight hours, but I'm very impressed. In comparison, the S24 Ultra expectantly demolishes the A05s. Does it warrant being 15 times the price of that phone? Well, that's up for you to decide if photography and video is your main thing. Shooting with it is so much more pleasant, and because it's so much more responsive, and the results are significantly better and consistent than the A05s. You also get to enjoy more features, right? Like in the camera with Galaxy AI and more camera modes. Its impressive slow motion makes it way more usable. I'd say that the Galaxy A05s is pretty impressive occasionally. Performance aside though, the lagging and the stuttering and the slow taking of photos, but it's nowhere near what the S24 Ultra is capable of. So I'd say that the camera system is good enough, right, for its price range. Of course, it could be better, but some of these shots are really impressive. So one thing that I have to bring up that I'm super impressed by is there is a headphone jack. How cool is that? So you're giving up extra speakers, but you get a headphone jack out of it. And obviously that's something that's not on the S24 Ultra at all. How can a phone that is cheaper than the S24 Ultra have a headphone jack? They really need to, how can it have more than the most expensive phone? Having a physical headphone jack immediately lands the A05s in the more than enough category. A very impressive feature is
what's inside the SIM card tray. Excuse my terrible skew. SIM card ejector. It goes quite deep, but I love this image of it. Look how small that image of a SIM card tray is. Isn't this the longest SIM tray you've ever seen in your whole life? That is amazing, because not only is it a dual SIM, this particular model, so you can put your A and your B SIM here, or SIM 1 and SIM 2, it's also got an SD card slot, so it's expandable, it's got expandable memory. Something that is definitely not inside my S24 Ultra. Again, more options, more features inside a cheaper phone. Like, how did they get that right? Look, this SIM tray though is wild. It's nearly as big as my ear. It's literally as big as my nose. That's a big SIM card tray.
Dual SIM and expandable storage. It's more than you'll get on most phones that come out today, including flagship devices. So I'm going to be slapping this with a more than
We're going to be trying out the A series with Wild Rift. And I must say, the first impression that I had was, man, is it slow. We took so long to get into a match. The second impression was, this audio is trash. It's coming out of one speaker. It's not even coming out of two speakers. I would definitely play this with headphones on. But again, a lot of people that are playing competitive games like this are exclusively playing with headphones on, right? So you want to be able to get that. The other thing was that we're getting a consistent 60 FPS. I changed it in the settings. It recommended 30 because it wanted quality. It looks amazing, right? Like it's very impressive. The anti-aliasing is on low, but it still looks really soft and beautiful. I didn't think that you would be able to even install this and run it. The glass is off from the panel, so there's a little bit of a space there. But like when you're playing eventually, you just forget about it. So that's like whatever. And for this price, man, what you're paying and what you're getting is just wild. I didn't expect this to, oh wow, okay, here we go. Drama's happening. No! I've died! This is more than compatible. This works relatively well. I think 60 FPS is pretty good. And why I've chosen Wild Rift is that there's a lot happening here, right? There's a lot of CPU power that's going on into like all these different actions on screen, but also it's pretty graphical, right? There's a lot of effects. It relies on like looking as good as it does. So there's a lot happening. I mean, the thing that's holding me back right now is the ping, but it's not the phone's fault. But you see how, I don't know if you can hear this, but like my hand going over the speaker, super annoying. Whoops. Oh, I'm gonna die again. Wow, these guys are really good. Oh, I'm terrible. We're not playing ranked even. The viewing angle is also a bit trash. I mean, I'm impressed. I'm very, very impressed. I honestly thought this was gonna be the part of the video where we dunk on the phone the most. And no. I feel like the inputting of your finger to an action is a little bit slow, but I'm spoiled, right? Like you get a very high polling rate with the S24 Ultra. So you're able to, when you press an action, it acts itself faster. So I would assume that that's actually what the problem is here. So there's a much lower polling rate with this panel, and as a result, it's a little bit slower. Damn, I'm impressed. The phone is not even heating up that much. It's crazy. It's crazy good. It's not the way I would like to play this game, of course. But if this was the only way I could play this game, yeah, I'd play it.
We lost the game, but like whatever, man.
Remember, the A05s has a 90 hertz panel. I know it's an LCD panel, but it's 90 hertz. And if you're playing a game that's not as resource hungry as something like Wild Rift that I've been playing, you could realistically clock in 90 frames per second, which is actually bonkers on like their cheapest phone. But for my use case and my experience playing the game, and because I'm a more hardcore gamer than most people, I guess, I'd say it's just good enough.
The next thing we need to try is, what does video editing performance look like on this Sky? I'm a big fan of editing video on phones and mobile because we always got our phones. I'm doing a lot of work for clients, editing videos like for Instagram Reels and stuff. So does this make it a viable option? So I'm gonna take a couple of videos that I've taken with the device and I'm gonna dump it in the timeline and see what the performance is. CapCut is my go-to generally. I'm actually gonna pop this onto high resolution. So scrubbing is sufficient. Oh my goodness, I can't even play it there. Bear in mind, this is footage that I've shot with my phone. It does seem to be like a lower resolution. I don't know if that's the footage or the actual editing capabilities. If I cut this, I don't know how to add a transition. It seems to be relatively smooth. Look at that. I'm just scrubbing slowly. It's not the best. I'm finding, even with the gaming part of this whole thing, is that when I tap to play, I feel like it's either not unresponsive, or it struggles to respond, or it doesn't think where I am tapping is the place that I'm tapping. It's like the taps aren't as accurate as my S24 Ultra. I mean, this is looking really good. Most of this footage is 4K 1080p 60. Firstly, let's do a transition in between. You know, the actual UI is probably slower, and that's probably down to the processor. Yo, okay, so it's struggling with some of these transitions. Nothing unmanageable though. I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite impressed. This is let's see, look at the full length. It's a 1 minute 47 video though. It's not as snappy and as immediate as the S24 Ultra, to be expected, but it's not impossible to edit with, right? I just want to know, that jump, is that in the footage, or is that in CapCut? It looks like it's in the footage. That's a big problem when we get to the video section. Let's add an effect and see what's gonna happen here. Oh, we're gonna break this thing. Oh, yeah. It struggles there. Super jumpy. Okay. Stop advertising to me. Not unusable. And it's showing you a good, it's like when it stops, you get a high res frame. It's a very well optimized app, this, eh? I'm just gonna add any old filter, it doesn't really matter. Okay, we've added a filter and an effect to this thing. Let's watch it conk out. Ooh! Okay, massive frame drops. Oh my word. That actually sucks. That I don't like. With just a filter on and no effects, we're good to go. It looks very smooth. Look at that, I'm gonna make it full screen. Well, now that we've done a little edit, let's try and export this. Okay, let's see what this export does. Okay, exporting is this takes a lot quicker on my S24 Ultra. Yeah, it's there and it works. So yeah, I guess it's good enough.
I'm pretty floored with what this little guy is capable of. I didn't go into this experiment expecting it to actually edit video, and I was expecting extremely trash photos and video, but to my surprise, it's definitely sufficient, if not a little slow. That's my biggest criticism of it. And I'm excited to see what Samsung brings to the table in a newer model. But all that really good performance that is good enough for most people, with the headphone jack, dual SIM, and expandable memory, I'd say that the A05s, for most people, and I can't believe that I'm saying this, is more than enough. Yeah, I didn't think I'd say this. I was about to like dunk on this guy. Anyway, I'm gonna see you in another video. Cheers.